Yo, lads, welcome to this episode of the podcast. I'm going to keep this intro real quick because I know you guys want to get to the interview with Eileen. First of all, before we get into this, I just wanted to say thank you. You guys should say thank you to her too. She gave us an hour and a half of her time, which is greatly appreciated. I know how busy she is, so it does mean a lot, and it's really cool to hear her story. Super rad chick. You guys are going to love this episode of the podcast. And once again, guys, if you are looking for a coach this season, I am coaching a couple athletes. It doesn't matter where you live. It's all online. By the end of September 25th, I will not be taking on any more athletes for the season unless I can find a second coach. But yeah, filling up quick. So if you guys want to get coached by me this year, I do a damn good job. So link will be down below. And enjoy this episode of the podcast. From me to you with love. Also, Bombhole. The Bombhole. They make a great podcast as well. However, they started a segment of the podcast called All Banged Up, and this podcast is called Banged Up. So, I mean, they're stepping on our turf. Eventually, we'll have to hit a name change if theirs surpasses ours. But smash that like button, subscribe, and let's try to keep one step ahead of All Banged Up with Banged Up. Deuces. Enjoy the episode. Welcome, creatures of all shapes and sizes, to Banged Up with Bruce Oldham, a.k.a. The Kid. This is an action sports podcast, the likes of which the world may never have seen before and may never see again. I hope you guys enjoy. I know how. I was like trying to figure out Zoom, but then the problem with Zoom is that A, it's too confusing for me because it's me, and then B, my mom's house, the Wi-Fi at my mom's house is appalling. Like, if I send a Snapchat on the Wi-Fi, it will not show up or send until the next morning. So, like, I can't do any sort of things. And then my dad just moved out of his house, so I am, like, I have no internet whatsoever. I got, like, I think 30 gigs on my phone now, which is pretty damn good. So I just burn through that and hope it works. I was like, oh, if this Wi-Fi does not work this morning, I'm going to be bummed. So I'm burning all of my data. Hopefully the data works. If the data doesn't work, then she's like, you could go drive to Tim Hortons or something. I'm like, I'm not doing an interview in a Tim Hortons parking lot at 6 a.m. A, the Wi-Fi will be just as bad. Pardon?
That is the most Canadian thing ever.
Yeah, I know, eh? I've been working on my Canada stuff. I'm like, man, if I got to like represent Canada one day, I want to be like on point. I want to be wearing my bearskin rug, have my moose antlers in the background in my room. It'll be perfect.
Do shots of maple syrup before competing.
I just do that for fun, honestly. Like shots of maple syrup, a little bit of my coffee, and I'm off to go. Check out this mug, Papa Bear. That's beautiful. I'm a big mug guy. That's been my one, I wouldn't say fetish, but that's my collection. Everywhere I go, I grab a new mug. I like cool mugs.
A mug fetish?
Yeah, maybe a mug fetish I'd call it. I have like 20 different mugs. My mom hates it because, like, you know, when you have a bunch of different, like, mugs in a cupboard, it never, like, lines up right because they're all different.
Yeah.
They're all different shapes and sizes, and it's like, stop it. Stop bringing home mugs. And I'm like, Mom, I'm only here for the summer sometimes, so let me keep my mugs. But yeah, anyways, I guess we'll get down to it. So I'm actually pretty interested in this because I have no clue about your background in park skiing and stuff like that and how you got into it and your backstory. I kind of tried to do some research, and by that I went to the bottom of your Instagram page and like I was like, oh, she started skiing in like 2006. Oh, cool. And then I kind of like went through a couple things, and then I was like, this was last night, and I got off work, and then I did ski training, and I did MMA training, and it was like 9:30, and I'm like, okay, I gotta research this podcast. I actually made notes. I did do that. Okay, I'm getting, well, more just questions, and some of the questions are just
so prepared.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I give myself. Anyways, how did you get into park skiing? I want the full backstory. I'm actually pretty interested because I genuinely have no clue.
Yeah, for sure. So I started skiing for the first time when I was 3, and that was because my mom really liked skiing. I was born and raised in San Francisco, so that's a 4-hour drive to Tahoe. Mm-hmm. And so we pretty much just go on the weekends. I mean, I would say from the ages of 3 to 8, I probably was like 15 days a year, like literally weekend warrior. Whenever she wanted to go, I would just kind of go with her. She would dump me in the ski school and call it a day, and she would go skiing and have a good time.
Yeah, she'd go après and blast around the mountain.
Yeah.
There you go.
No, she wasn't the atmosphere. She was like, ski aggressive. You know what Epic Mix? Like,
Yeah.
the app that keeps yeah, so she was an Epic Mixer, and I'm pretty sure she won North Star, like, Epic Mix.
No way.
1 year. Yeah, so
That's
she goes
dirty.
hard in the paint. Like, you do not mess with Mama Good. So so she really liked it. And when I was 8, so I grew up skiing at North Star, which kind of, like, has this reputation of being really flat, like, not having the best big mountain kind of terrain.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the thing that really started it was I was definitely an adrenaline addict. You know, I was always climbing trees, always doing all that stuff. And so I started straight lining from the top of the mountain all the way down.
That would scare some people.
Bored. Yeah, exactly. And so my mom was like, okay, so we can either put her into racing or into free skiing, which is this other thing that nobody's ever heard of. But the whole point is to get me skiing slower. And so racing kind of seemed counterintuitive. So she just randomly put me into free skiing, and that's how I got into it. I skied on the weekends. I would say probably like 40 days a year, and I was the only girl on my team. And it was actually kind of funny because I went to an all-girls K through 8 school, you know, very preppy. We had the little sailor suit uniforms. It was very kind of that vibe. And then on the weekends, you know, I was with these little scoundrels.
Yeah, you were kids like me just doing stupid shit on the ski hill.
It was so fun, though. Like, I had such a great time with them. I'm still really, really close with almost all of them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we really grew and pushed each other and kind of grew up skiing like that. And that's how I really got into it. That's why I really started loving it, because one of my friends would slide their first rail, and I'd be like, all right, well, now I got to do a front two, show them up. And if I did that, then he was like, all right, well, now I have to, you know, learn a blind two. And then it kind of just built up like that. And I think so many skiers have a similar backstory. It's all about learning and progressing with your friends. So I did that, and then I started competing for the first time in USASA when I was 9.
When you were 9?
Yeah.
How old are you now?
I'm 17 right now.
Oh, I was going to say 18. Damn it. Okay, 17. I was off that one.
17 right now. Yeah.
That's close enough.
My birthday is
Taking
in
as a
September.
W. In September?
Yeah.
Hey, mine too. What date?
No, wait, what day?
12th. The 12th.
Okay. Good for you. Good for me. Yeah, so that's how I kind of got into it. And I started competing when I was 9. And I remember I was really, really nervous, like terrified nervous for my first competition. And my coach ended up coming up to me and he's like, I don't want to, like, you know, throw you off your game, but I hope you know you're the only girl in your age group. So, like, even if you do really badly, like, you're still technically going to win. And I was like, oh, well, that's pretty good. Like, I like winning. And so, you know, I didn't fall. I did do my 360, you know, thank God. And took home that gold medal, and that's kind of how I started.
That's super sick. So that's cool. So basically your mom randomly threw you in a ski school program because she wants to shred and you couldn't keep up, and then you started keeping up, and then you're going too fast, and she's like, oh, she's gonna hurt herself. So you're going to the ski school program. Racing, exactly. A, is gonna make you go faster. B, probably boring. So freestyle skiing, here you go.
I'm so glad I was not a racer. I cannot imagine waking up at like 5 in the morning. Not everybody's like you, Bruce. Not everybody just like randomly wakes up before dawn.
I have to work, but I've been getting up at I usually get up at like 6 every day. I have my first MMA fight at the end of July, so I am in full camp, and like same with skiing. Like when I have a contest or something come up, I make sure I don't take any shortcuts or anything like that. So I tell myself 6 minimum every day. I'm waking up. That's part of like one of the things. So I'm up at 6, and then eventually I go until like 2 to 3 months of this, and then I burn out, crash, take a week off where I like be a lazy slob, and then I get back on the train when I have something again. But yeah, no, I can't say I like getting up this early. Honestly, I rolled out of bed and I was like not stoked. I'm like, okay, but I got an interview today. Yes. It's gonna be good. I might have had 2 to 3 coffees.
Respect the grind.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's something that a lot of people don't see and don't appreciate. But if you, I don't know, you look at like any successful person, they didn't get there without working hard. So that's cool, because I was wondering how you did, because I personally didn't know that you had anybody in your family that skied, right? So Does she still ski? Does she just shred them out around, or not as much?
Yeah. She likes to follow me and like kind of shadow me in all my contests. So I remember this past fall, I think it was like October, and I was in Stubai in Austria. And because of COVID, they'd actually shut down the whole mountain, and they had all the athletes in bubbles. We were kind of meeting at the gondola at a certain time, and then everybody was going up individually in the bubbles in the gondola. And then the gondola would close. So even if you wanted to come down early, you couldn't. Like, the camp was the only thing on the mountain that was free. But it was pristine. Like, it was perfect. Probably the best camp I've been to, side note. But everybody there was either an athlete or a coach. And so everybody who was actually skiing was an athlete. And then there was my mom, who was also there. And there was this little groomer that was next to the pommel lift. Yeah. And so she would just be shredding the groomer all day, and because she was the only one there, it would be like fresh poured at like 2:30. And so she was just having the time of her life on this glacier in Austria. And I remember her telling me, feeling super self-conscious, because she was like, I can't fall off the like pommel lift or like whatever, because
people are gonna judge me.
People are judging me, you know, like nobody's judging me.
That's hilarious. Everybody's probably like, who's this rad chick just shredding the groomers all day?
No, she's famous. Everybody knew she was my mom.
She's just living it up.
She's definitely more famous than me.
And there you go. I have a question for you. Is your mom one of those ones that worries? My mom is. It's taken her a while to get over it, but since I was the first one that kind of got into like this kind of stuff, because like my parents are very adventurous and outgoing, but when it comes to like extreme sports, neither of them had anything like that. So when I was a little kid, I started getting in, like, just doing things like this, like, just doing stupid shit. And it took her a while to get over the fact that she's like, oh my god, you can't do that! Like, even now, like up until, like, 2 years ago, 2 years ago, she'd come to contests and she'd be like, oh, I don't know if I can watch. Like, or is your mom like that at all? Or is she like, nah, she's gonna stop 100%.
Yeah, okay. No, she's like that 100%. I feel like that's, like, the mom instinct. I remember at my third World Cup in Rome in Italy, there was like that big screen right in front of the lodge area, and that's kind of like the live broadcast. So she could have been watching that. She could have been watching live, which was like right in front of her. Yeah. But instead, she just like was pacing, standing up, sitting down, like head in her hands. People had to go over and be like, Eileen's gonna be okay, but like, are you okay? Like, is everything? Yeah. Is everything good? Like, don't worry about it. No, she definitely doesn't watch. She gets very, very nervous. But I think that's all moms. They're just protective. You know? Yeah, I think most moms are. I mean, some of the slams people take are pretty aggressive. But it's so funny because, like, I was obviously, like, I'm the first child. And then I have a little brother who's 10 years younger than me. Absolute weapon. That guy is he's my pride and joy. I love him. But, oh my God, he is an animal. And my mom... like, when I was a kid, she's like, oh my God, Bruce, are you okay? Cody, like, will do a triple backflip, land on his head, and she'll be like, and just keep walking. He's like desensitized to her.
Yeah, she's so desensitized. He comes home covered in bruises from falling out of trees and shit like that. Like, I come home one day and he's like hobbling inside, and we have a big rock in our backyard, and I guess he decided he wanted to rock climb, and it's like 20 feet, and he fell off it, and he's like hobbling inside. My mom's like, you're right? He's like, yeah, I'm good. And she goes, okay, and just goes back to what she's doing. I'm like, oh, dude, you good? Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, he's an animal. He just got into skiing in the last 2 years. He's gonna be quite good when he's older. But that's sweet. So you got into it, and you got coached, and you were doing weekend warrior coaching kind of style. And the cool thing I like about what you were saying is you got into skiing, I think, like you said, similar to what most people did, but like this is how I grew up in skiing. Like, I think times are changing a little bit now to the point where it's like you get in a school program or a coaching program, and they're like, okay, here's what you need to do. You need to do your cork, you need to do your hips up, blah, 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 right? I started park skiing when I was, I think, like 16-ish, maybe a little later. Like, I was in grade 11 when I started, like, really getting into park skiing. But my whole skiing, like, I was weekend warrioring whenever I could go, and we'd go on, like, one family trip. And then I'd just, like, launch off every little side hit or something I could see and, like, try to do whatever. And then I got my driver's license, and my friends got their driver's license, and we'd go to the hill. There's, like, 3 of us, and we'd be like, yo, do you have any clue how to do a backflip? They'd be like, no. And I'm like, rock, paper, scissors. And whoever lost would have to do it. Or like one of us would be like, if you do a back four, I'll try a Misty. And we just every night after like school for like a whole like one winter, like we'd go, it was like an hour drive, so we'd go like three times a week, and we just launch ourselves. And that's how I learned. Like when I first got my first coach, like 2 years later, he's like, oh my God, where did you learn? Like, these are awful habits, because I'm setting corks like this, because no one told me how to do it. We have like, you know, the garden trampolines, like the black bed ones? Yeah. I put it underneath my garage roof, and I'd go run up my garage roof, and I'd put a sprinkler underneath it because the water would make it wet and it would kind of double bounce you. And I'd jump off my garage roof onto the trampoline just to like try to tuck a double front flip around as fast as I could. I'd just be like spinning, but I had to do it when my parents weren't looking because I wasn't allowed on the garage roof. They could yell at me, so they'd be cooking dinner, and I'd be just jumping on the trampoline, and then they'd be cooking dinner. I'd see them go into the kitchen, and I'd just run up on the roof, jump off the trampoline. Off the roof onto the trampoline and just shit like that. But I think that's something that I think is missing in skiing now. Like just sending it and having fun with your friends. So it's cool to see people like learn to like that. I think a lot of the people, like older people nowadays, learned like that. But I think, like, I don't know, like I go ski hill and I see a lot of the young kids. I'm really good friends with a lot of the young kids at the ski hill, and but a lot of them they go on weekends, and it's like, okay, we're gonna work on front twos. This is exactly how you do it. We're gonna work on back twos. This is exactly how we do it. And like, it's good for learning. You get better really quick. But sometimes they're like, I want to do a back four. I'm like, and they're like, but I have no clue how to do it, and I need to like work all these steps. I'm like, or you could just send it, and we'll see how it goes. I'm sure we'll be okay, unless it's not a really hard icy night. Just let her bach.
Absolutely. I think I kind of had the reverse of that almost. Like recently, I was in Mammoth, I think it was like in May, so a couple months ago, and it was my first time at a camp, really, for a long time without a coach. And initially, you know, I totally felt like I was out of place. I was like, how am I going to learn anything? I'm terrified to try anything. And eventually I started laughing with some of the guys on the U.S. men's halfpipe team.
Yeah.
And I was laughing pipe with them, and I was like, I'm kind of feeling it. Like, I kind of want to learn, you know, which is for me a natural right, so like right alley-oop rodeos on a bag. And they're like, okay, like, it's an airbag, just like do it. I was like, okay, I mean, that makes sense. Yeah. And I think I did like one or two, and they're like, do you want to just do it on snow? Like, it looks pretty good. And I was like, yeah, I mean, like, it feels pretty good. Like, do you think I can do it? And they're like, yeah, probably. Do you want me to film you? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And then I did it, and then it was the same with my right port 10 in pipe as well. And so, like, I totally get what you mean. It was definitely really refreshing, and it was a lot of fun. Very low pressure, but, like, you have to be in the right vibe with your friends to be able to trust.
Yeah.
And they're just like, just try it. If someone's like, just try a triple, like, I'm probably not going to try a triple. But if it's, like, something within reason, and I just need somebody to give me, like, the healthy little push, I totally agree with that.
This is my motto I've coined. I call it the safe send, okay?
Okay.
I like to send my meat, but I know when there's kind of a level of like in my mind I'm like, okay, can I do a quad? Probably not, so I'm not going to try that. Could I probably do a triple this time? Yes. Like, and like, I think for me, like, landing a new trick, especially like when you just like not send it, but like when I don't do like 25 dub 10 setups before going to try a triple or something, like, it feels really good. And but you do have to be safe, because injuries are like the biggest thing that set anybody back. And I was looking at that cork 10 in the pipe, the right cork 10 in the pipe, and I was like, because I was trying that this year in Calgary, and you did it way better than me, and you did it way bigger than me. And I watched it last night, and I was doing my notes, and I was like, God damn it! Next year, huh? Am I turning into
a pipe job though?
No, maybe. I like it.
It's really fun, honestly.
My first medal I got in skiing was at Canada Winter Games. I shit the bed in every single event. Well, not my first medal, but like I shit the bed at every single event. Slopestyle, big air. I just didn't land my run. Actually, funny thing about the slopestyle contest. Perfect run. Probably would have got like on the podium. Last rail. I'm coming to last rail. Announcer goes, all right, Bruce Oldham, last feature. Megan Oldham's older brother. Can he get it like his sister? and I'm like coming in, I'm like 5 feet from the last rail, and that's all I hear. And then of course I do a 2-on and just fall off early. I'm like, fuck. I was so pissed. That one bothered me forever. But
sibling rivalry gets you.
Sibling rivalries, you gotta love them. But no, I did pipe at that there, and I actually did fall in love with it. I was gonna do pipe this year, no contest for me, so I didn't get to do pipe. But I did train a lot of pipe, and I'm having fun. I wanted to talk to you about that because for me, I'm sure it's probably the same for you. I'm not sure. Pipe has got to be the scariest thing in skiing. Like, I boosted. I started boosting out of the pipe, and I had a couple hits where I was feeling confident about music going, and I went quite a bit faster than normally did, and I hit that first hit, and I went like probably not even that high, maybe like 10 feet out, and I shit my pants. I thought I was going down. I was like, oh my god.
It's definitely really, really scary. I think for me, pipe though, like especially when it comes to competing, it was always the low pressure event.
Yeah.
Like I was always a slope skier. Like if it was kind of like you said, right? Like I would mess up my other events. I'd be like, well, pipe is the throwaway thing anyway, and then I'd end up doing really well in pipe. Yeah. And I don't think it was until really like this year that I even kind of accepted it that I was a pipe skier. Like before that, I was like, oh, like I just do it because why not? If it's in the same location, whatever. Like that's why I never competed in pipe really until New Zealand and then Calgary last year, because like I would never travel just for a pipe event.
No.
And so I feel like that's why you can really improve in it really quickly, especially if you have that base and foundation in slope skating. It's pretty much the same thing. It's just terrifying because you have like a 3-foot landing window. But like once you get past that, then it's all fun and games and low pressure, all that fun. But you're right, it's very difficult to just kind of brush past that. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying when you're up there and you're like, oh, whoa, it's a lot deeper than I thought. And I have a problem where I pop a little too much sometimes, and I always land at the bottom, and I'm just like, whoo!
Yeah, oh my god, I know that feeling.
I'm getting used to it. And like you said, low pressure, man. That's why I enjoyed it so much, because I go there, I just have tunes that no expectations. I'm not trying to win the event. I'm just trying to land my run and learn something new, and that's really fun. And like obviously you try to adapt that into other aspects of competing, but it's not as easy as it sounds. This is cool though. You're three-peating in all, like I think you're the only person in freestyle skiing right now that is doing all three disciplines at the level you're doing it. I don't think anybody's doing it. Gus Kenworthy's not really doing it anymore. He did back in the day, but like that's pretty cool to be able to do. And the fact that you got 3 gold medals in all 3 disciplines, or 3 not gold medals, 3 medals in all disciplines at X Games, but you missed the gold in figure. I was watching that event. I saw that. If I were you, that would have pissed me off.
It did piss me off.
Because that would have been pretty damn cool to get it. If you had landed that trick, it would have been close for sure. A, how annoying is that? And B, come the rest of the season, are you still planning on doing, like the next coming seasons, are you planning on trying to do all 3?
Yeah, so I'm definitely planning to do all 3 for as long as I can. I mean, I think I kind of lump big air and slopestyle together, and big air is definitely like the scary, kind of out of my comfort zone event of the 3. I've only done 3 big air contests. One was at Youth Olympics, which doesn't really count because it was part of the slope course, and then X Games, and then World Championships. So like those were kind of the only big airs I've done. So definitely really scary. And then I don't really see myself stopping pipe or slope really one before the other. So yeah, as long as I can stay relevant in all 3, I'll keep going. And I think that big air, yes. So I kind of put it like this. I was writing about it in my journal the other day, and I think it's more just I was really happy with the medal. It was my first X Games, my first event. I was the only rookie in the field, the youngest, all of that. My first real big air, definitely the biggest jump I'd ever hit. It took me like an hour and a half in practice to even hit the jump. Like, it was so funny. I was sitting at the top. Everybody was, laughing the jump. And I was just sitting there. I was like, I don't even think I can, hit this. Like, it's
those
so
big,
terrifying.
they're scary, eh? Like, that Aspen Open big air jump is...
big jump.
It's big.
Yeah, for sure. I was very scared. And especially because I kind of grew up... I never really had big jumps.
Okay, so that's the same as me, too. I never had big jumps growing up, And like when I hit big jumps, I'm not scared, but it takes me a while to do it. And my sister, Megan, you know Megan, obviously, because she's on like when you guys compete and stuff, she hits big jumps all the time. Like even the course jumps are big, right? But I'm from like I ski like small resorts like Mount St. Louis most of the season, and then I go to a contest and there's a 60, 70-foot jump, and I come from like 40-foot jumps. So for me, same thing with what you're saying until I rudely interrupted, but it's terrifying.
Yeah, no, you're all good. I totally agree. I was pretty much just saying that, like, I think I was really happy with the color of the medal, the fact that I podiumed in first place, all of that. But in terms of my performance, absolutely. Like, I did the right 12 first try in practice right before competing, like literally 10 minutes before. And then I was like over-rotating, under-rotating, like I have no idea what was going through my head at that point. And I just like couldn't put it down in the contest. And normally I feel like I'm pretty good at intermission, so that was definitely kind of a surprise and confusing thing for me. But what was also interesting was they had scheduled the big air back-to-back with halfpipe. So I literally like came off the podium and went straight to halfpipe training. And so I think that like pent-up frustration over not having done the best that I could have really fueled me in pipe. And especially in halfpipe, because it's one of those things where you pretty much go as big as you want or as big as you can. So having that extra motivation and having that extra push, I think definitely pushed amplitude. And that was definitely one of the factors that scored me so well. So, you can argue, it's not good, it was good, but it is what it is, and I'm definitely really happy with it. And just looking forward to the future.
Yeah, I mean, 3X Games medals is better than none, so something to be stoked about.
It is better than none. Yeah. This is true.
So I have my personal vendetta in my freestyle skiing career is, I mean, as lame as this sounds, I gotta have more X Games medals than Megan. That's my goal. I gotta do it. I got her into this sport.
How many does she have? She's got a couple, right?
She's got enough that it's not going to be easy now, but that's okay. I'm coming for her. And then I've started MMA too, so now I want that as well. But it is what it is.
I'm a big fan.
Huh?
I'm a big fan of having like side passions or multiple main passions. Like for sure.
I think
a big part of who I am.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that the problem is, for me, like, I'm somebody who, I get very interested by a lot of things, and I like, ooh, this is cool, and I pick up a bunch of things, and then I have too many things. I have a hard time saying no. I think when you get to this point in any kind of sports, having two big things, like, even doing 3 different disciplines, you know how hard that is. This is going to be a perfect segue, watch this. So, modeling, right? When you're full, nailed it.
Oh, look at him go.
I'm getting good at this. But like for me, like doing skiing and MMA and training full time and getting ready for fights, and I do YouTube and podcast stuff as well. And then I work. I have a lot going on, right? And for me, like I know I can put more into skiing, but it's also nice for me to like take that time to go do something completely different than skiing and worry about something completely different. So for you, like modeling and stuff, I want to know, how did you get into that? Like, is that something you've always been interested in as a kid? And how do you kind of see, like, is that kind of like not necessarily an escape, but like, I mean, it's cool, it's different.
Yeah, like a break, a little dichotomy moment. Yeah.
It completely takes your mind off of that aspect of your life.
Absolutely. So I kind of did a few jobs here and there when I was really young, or just kind of taking a lot of photos. My mom had these like photo shoot things for me that were I was not working, but it was more like every year when I came back to China, it would be like a photo journal in a sense, and it'd be like professional photographers would like take photos, and so I have all these albums in my house, and you can kind of like watch me grow up through them, which is kind of cool. But just like from a young age, I was definitely used to having cameras around me. In China, I think that I started filming some of my first interviews, my first documentaries when I was like 9 or 10. So it was really, really young. And so I got into modeling really when I was 15, so in 2019. And I got invited to Paris Fashion Week. And that happened because there was a Chinese outerwear sponsor that wanted to sponsor me.
Yeah.
And they made hot couture, and they made, or I don't think they made hot couture actually. I think they made, I don't know, but they made high fashion, and they had a runway show in Paris, and so they wanted me to front row, and so of course I was like, yes,
Yeah, you can't say no to
Like,
that.
this is such a great opportunity. It's just so much fun. Like, let me go see this whole new world, and I absolutely loved it. It was the time of my life. I think it was so creative. It was one of those things where I could see someone walking down the street wearing like a paper bag, and people would be like, wow, this is next level. This is so creative. Anything goes in the best way possible. And I thought that was so amazing. And being different is so celebrated. I feel like people say that a lot. They're like, oh, like being unique is celebrated. That's why I like it. But like in the fashion industry, like, you know what I'm talking about. Like, things get weird. Like,
Yeah,
really weird.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm a huge fashion guy, because honestly, I kind of wear whatever I can, whenever. But like, same with the earrings. My mom's like, "You look like that weird kid." I'm like just messing with me. I'm like, "What's wrong with that, Mom?" And she's like, "No, nothing. I'm just being sportive." Like, just messing with me. But like, yeah, no, it's cool. And like, I mean, if you're confident enough to do it, and it's something you're like, yeah, but so that's really cool. And I mean, I've never really fully understood fashion. I mean, I look at people's outfits and I'm like, that's cool. And then I go wear something and my mom's like, what are you doing? That doesn't match. Like, this doesn't make any sense. Most of my clothes, like, if I'm going to be completely honest here in the podcast, most of my clothes are just like sponsored t-shirts or something like that, or hand-me-downs, or from the Salvation Army. I genuinely don't care about having nice clothes. I like having nice clothes, but I'm running around so much and I don't wear them, and everything I do, I just ruin things. So, like, what's the point?
I mean, there's more to style than money, though. Like, you can get some good stuff from Goodwill, Salvation Army, whatever, thrift shops. So, like,
for sure.
It's definitely, like, whatever you want style to be, it can be, and that's kind of what I love so much about the industry. And like you said, you know, I don't really think that I have reason to escape from skiing, but it definitely creates a dichotomy in my mind, and it makes me appreciate skiing that much more. I think it gives me a lot of really good perspective and kind of allows me to see it in a new light and be a lot more grateful for it. So if I'm, you know, competing for like a month straight and I just feel like I'm super exhausted and want to not ski again or whatever, and then I'll go shoot for like a week, I'll be like, I kind of miss skiing. Like, I kind of, and it kind of reignites that fire. So on one hand, you know, I love that, and I also am the kind of person where, like, I always have to be doing something, so it's hard for me to just do nothing, and obviously I have to take a break with skiing anyways.
Yeah.
Why not have it in some kind of beautiful, creative, exciting, unique,
and productive way, right?
Totally different.
You're being productive when you're doing that. It's something you enjoy.
Definitely.
B, you're definitely making money through it now, which is gotta be nice. A little side bag. Like, get a little extra cash on the side. I would definitely, my biggest thing is food. I love food. Oh my god, I could just, if I had unlimited money, I would be eating out all the time.
I have a secret food review account.
What? Nice.
I have a secret food review account. I'm a huge foodie. Like, definitely have sampled my fair share of restaurants, and I'm not done yet. There's a lot of places that I have on my bucket list. But yeah, for sure.
Wow, leaking the details on the podcast. I like that. Huh?
Do you cook?
That is a question I do not want to answer, because the answer to that is no. I am a shit cook.
No, you're a big foodie and you don't cook? Come on, Rick.
No, I don't have time to cook. You think I have an hour in my day to go make a meal? No way. If I did, I don't know. I've always been interested in learning, because people always told me, oh, the way to a girl's heart is to cook good food and stuff. And I'm like, that might be what I'm missing. And then I was like, nah, I couldn't be bothered. Just go buy it from somebody else who's a good cook.
I feel like the way to anybody's heart. I feel like, I don't know, the way to anybody's heart. Maybe your own heart is cooking yourself a nice meal.
I mean, when I cook, I like to experiment. Like, so for me in the morning, I usually I whip together something. But let's say I'm having eggs, right? Oh, what's this? We have leftover salad? I'll throw that in the eggs. Scrambled eggs with salad. Oh, what? We have rice? I'll throw that in there. Oh, asparagus? Chop that up and throw that in there. It usually is usually really bad, but I mean, it goes down the hole. Like, I'm a foodie when it comes to eating other food, and then when it comes to making my own food, I'm just like, whatever gets me on to the next thing so I can keep going.
What is your favorite food? What is your favorite meal?
I couldn't pick.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't pick. I'm kind of like, it just depends on the mood I'm in, honestly. I'm a big fish guy. Like, I eat a lot of fish. Yeah, nothing really stands out. How about you?
Sushi, big sushi guy. I really like Taiwanese food. I've been really into Korean barbecue lately.
That's good.
Very good.
Very good.
And then, yeah, I could definitely go for good Italian always. I travel with my own truffle oil, so I'm pretty extra in pretty much every sense of the word.
Yeah, that's extra.
You know,
I'm gonna call you out on that. That's extra. If you're carrying truffle oil through the thing, then that's extra.
It's like the little one, but it's good. It's got to be white truffle oil, and you can put that on anything. Bland avocado toast, truffle oil.
Oh, avocado toast. I've been big on that lately. That's good. Do you do any like fasting or anything like that?
I don't. I have definitely tried and kind of figured out eating habits for sure. I think that for me, being both an athlete and a model, like my body is literally my job, right? And so kind of taking care of it and then also like allowing it to perform to the best of its ability while also, you know, maintaining the way that it looks is a very, very fine line. So I do have a nutritionist through Red Bull, and she has been a really great help. I think that it's really about sustainable things because I really can't afford to like not eat enough for a week and then kind of eat too much and then mess up my metabolism and then how does that affect my performance in 2 weeks and the shoot that I have tomorrow. And so it's just too much to juggle if I'm always changing it. So I would say I'm a very balanced eater. In general, my main, like the bane of my existence in eating is I have a huge sweet tooth. So, you know, any kind of fruit is a godsend. So that's kind of my big thing. But other than that, I kind of just work with her to the best of my ability.
Dude, if I had a nutritionist too, I would do the exact same thing. It's pretty like, I mean, sometimes you want to eat other stuff, but like, yeah, it definitely makes sense. I don't have time to like really, really slap down on a diet and B, also, like, I don't know, I just burn so much like calories a day that I literally just eat as much as I can and I will not put on weight. It will not happen.
All right, lads, quick intermission on this episode of the podcast. As you guys know, the podcast is brought to you by the ASC, the brand me and Pat created to help support underprivileged action sports athletes, you know, provide them with a way to chase their dreams and to be able to pursue a career in the sports they want to. So if you guys want to check out the website, grab some merch. All the proceeds go towards helping out athletes and putting on events at local hills. The link will be down below as well. But yeah, hope you guys are enjoying this episode of the podcast, and I'll see you at the end.
With that being said, what does like a regular day look like for you? Because I know you're really busy. Obviously, you're in quarantine now. Times are different, but like a typical day, because we've talked about this like kind of briefly, and you post about it before and stuff. And I actually have a book on that huge pile of books that never gets read over there. Don't know if you can see it or not. Actually, it does get read. It just takes me a while. That was my one weakness as a kid. I would read like literally like a 300-page book a day. And my parents would be like, they would get mad at me for reading because I'd be up to like 3 a.m. reading. And they're like, come take my light away and stuff. And they'd be like, stop reading. And then I'd like go use the closet light. And then like, yeah. So I completely went off the books reading for like when I got into high school and stuff. And now I'm getting back into it. But I got a book on why we sleep. And sleep's so important. And you get like 10 hours of sleep sometimes a night. Like I don't know how much you get on the average. But that's insane because me, again, I'm a little bit of a night owl. I try to like dial it in, but I get, like 7 hours max a night. Like, and for how hard I push my body, I know it's not good, but I don't know how I can find time to do more. I always feel like I'm behind a step.
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think, part of it is also like genetic or just kind of like your own body's predisposition of how much you need to sleep. Like my grandma, for example, she'll sleep like 5 hours a night and feel great and doesn't really need more. Me personally, I would say average 10 hours a night. Right now I'm in quarantine and I've got nothing better to do, so I'm actually been sleeping like 12 hours a night. How do you do it? I feel like if I just
That's insane.
I sleep forever.
That's insane. Maximum, I would wake up after 9 hours, absolute max. Like, no matter what.
If I sleep found out, I genuinely, like, feel like I'm not functioning here. Like, it kind of has been my bare minimum, really. Like, it really is. I have been on the 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. grind recently, and it's been a great time. Yeah, I think I've always thought that, and I think in going back to your question about, for the reading thing, I would totally do that. I always have the flashlight under my pillow. I would have an alternate flashlight hid around the room, so in case my mom found this one, I would, like, have everyone. It'd be good.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of a general day, I mean, it's really hard because I'm not the kind of person who says, like, what do you do? You try to do everything in one day. And I found that really difficult. For me, I would kind of have, like, one day really dedicated to one class. So in the sense that, like, when I'm training, pretty much I'm thinking about skiing all day. So I'm going to wake up, I'll eat, maybe I'll do a little warm-up, stretch routine, whatever. Sometimes I get cut short because I oversleep, but that's the downside of taking off. And then, go to skiing for 8 to 2:30, whatever. I normally try not to take lunch because I get really sleepy when I eat, especially when I eat carbs in the middle of the day. So, and then if I don't eat carbs in the middle of the day, then I just don't feel full, so I just don't eat at all. And then I will get home, eat absolutely starving, eat a big meal, and then I will probably read or write something while I'm digesting, and then I will go for a run and a workout, and then stretch sessions, have dinner, and then depending on what kind of project I'm doing, normally I will film an interview or kind of do some kind of media evolution that I have after dinner. And then if I don't, then it's a lazy day, I get to talk to my friends and into lunch. So I think that's kind of like what my ski day looks like, and it's very casual, very easy. When I'm shooting, it is a whole other story because sometimes I will start a role and then I play double. I do work on the weekend, I do LA on the other weekends. So I will be skiing Monday through Friday, and then on Friday night I would catch a red eye to like New York. And then I get there, my call time would be, sometimes really early, so I'd be up at like 5:30, get on set at like 6, and get hair and makeup, be sitting around all day, kind of just shooting whenever I'm needed. And then when I'm done, I really like to eat a big meal, but I only do that after the end of the shoot. And then, that's pretty much just like I'm focused on that fully. And then I always try to make time to read or write. So I keep a journal. I've been writing in it for a very long time. I think I started journaling until I was like 6, but I took a few years off in the middle. I started writing more like regularly when I was 14. So it's pretty fun to look back and read them and see, how far I've grown, especially because being kind of like a teenager going through all of that and documenting my experiences, like thinking it's the end of the world because I got rejected by some guy freshman year. And then looking back and being like, who is he? Like,
and now you're a Victoria's Secret model. That guy's probably like, damn it! He's definitely bummed.
And it's just funny. Like, it definitely gives me a little bit of perspective.
Yeah.
And it's fun to look back at. So I try to have time to read and write every day. And then that's kind of like my happy place. And I also try to run every day. I grew up running, so that has been really important to me as well.
Yeah.
What are you holding?
These are my journal books.
You're so coordinated. They're all the same color.
They're black moleskin ones. Very, very in depth. I have one. I don't journal my daily life, but this one is for my MMA striking. This one is for my skiing. So all aspects of my sports that I do, I write down every single day I train, what I learned, what went good, what went wrong, what I could improve on, and stuff like that. And I started doing that like 2 years ago, and I found that's helped a lot. I would like to get into actual journaling, but I don't really, A, have the time, B, I don't want to be that guy with a journal, because girls, it's kind of cool, guys, it's like, and I'm just like, But I was doing my hike, hiking the West Coast Trail, and I was vlogging it, and I was like, damn, I really wish I had a journal to write, to write down all my adventures / stories, and have I could leave it in a secret room in my house, and my kids will find it one day, and I thought that would be cool. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna get a journal for all the cool trips and stuff like that I do, and things like that down the road. But that's part of the reason why I got into doing vlogs and stuff like that. I kind of always liked it a bit. I started doing it when I was 10 or whatever, and then, or not 10, sorry, when I was in grade 9 or 10. And then I was like posting them and stuff, and I was having fun with it, and I was like, oh, but people are gonna think I'm like that kid. I don't want to be that kid. So I stopped doing it because I was worried about what people thought. Little did I know, when you're 21, 2 now. I don't even know how old I am. I said I was 21 the other day. I'm 22. I don't know. I gotta figure this out. And when you're 22 and you get to this point in your life and you don't care what other people think, you're just doing you and like whatever, like you're being yourself. But I've started doing it again, and I really enjoy it because like it's kind of a fun experience and I enjoy doing it. It makes me do more stuff, but also it's so cool to go back and look on some of the things I've done, and like journaling is really cool. It would be really cool to have all them journaled as well, but like in terms of ease and just access, it's really cool to be able to go back and like, oh, I was up 60 feet in a tree this day with a chainsaw making a rope swing for no apparent reason. I was an idiot. And like go watching that. I feel like I'm gonna be like 60 years old on my bed in a little wheelchair, because that's probably how long I'll make it. We're hoping for higher, but honestly, live fast, die young. That's been the motto. And it would be cool to go through and see all this stuff. Or even have my kids like be able to go watch it and be like, oh, yo, Dad, you're an absolute idiot, but that's dope. So I always thought that was cool.
Totally.
Okay, well, I've taken up quite a bit of your time, and we could honestly, I feel like we could talk a lot more because I have a lot more questions. So I'm gonna ask a couple more if that's okay, and then I do have to get ready for work. So I feel bad about it, but
How much time do you have? No, let me know so I can answer them shorter.
Pardon?
Let me know how much time you have so I can answer them shorter.
No, it's fine. Answer them however. I feel like I'm pushing them on. This is your podcast, okay? I'm just the host. This is your podcast. The fact that you're giving me 45 minutes, I'm pretty stoked upon. I wasn't expecting that. So, 7:30ish. You got maybe 25 minutes, and then I'm cutting you off.
Okay.
So I gotta go look at my list now. I don't know why I was so excited, and then I had him in my head. Okay, so recently you got nominated for an ESPY. That is absolutely insane.
Thank you.
What is that experience like? And are you gonna win it? Do we know? Do you have an inside scoop?
We'll see. I mean, so here's the thing. I found out, it was kind of a funny story. So I was in Hawaii recently with three of my best friends.
Yeah.
And so we were all there, and on that particular night, we were all having sleepover in our hotel room, and one of them was snoring really loudly.
It's annoying.
Really loudly.
What's up, buddy?
And so I was like throwing a pillow at him. I was, oh, is that Duke?
Yeah, Duke's coming to say hi. I'll move the camera so you can see him.
Hello.
There you go. Now tell your story.
Hi.
I'll pet my dog.
Oh, what a good boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, so he was snoring really loudly. I was like throwing pillows at him, whatever, wasn't working. So I decided that I was going to go sleep on the porch. So I like took my pillows and my blanket and I moved to the deck. It was pretty warm. We were in Hawaii again, so it was like, I don't know, like 70-something degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So I was fine, but I just couldn't fall asleep. The stars were beautiful. I was hanging out. And then I get this text from my agent, and she's like, hey, you just got nominated for an ESPY. And it didn't even hit me because I was outside at like 3 in the morning and I was kind of delirious.
Yeah.
I wasn't really thinking. I was like, okay. And I was like, wait, was that a fever dream? Like, did that actually happen? I was back to that moment. I was like, oh my gosh, wow, this is really exciting. So yeah, I got nominated for ESPY, and that, of course, is a huge honor. And to be recognized like that. And I don't know, are you going to vote for me? That's the question. I might win, but only if you guys vote.
Okay, so everybody vote. This is the reason she's doing the podcast. She wants more votes, guys. Don't let her down. Vote for Eileen Gu for the ESPYs. I know I will be voting. Can I vote more than once or just once?
You can. You can vote every day.
Okay.
At the link in my Instagram bio. Look at that plug. Wow.
Excellent. I'm going to give you 4 votes. That is your payment for being on the podcast. That's
You're
the
so generous.
fee. Yeah,
Thank
I
you,
know.
Bruce.
I try. So, anyways, again, I wanted to ask this about, like, so I think you kind of burst onto, like, you kind of blew up really quick, right? Like, 3 years ago-ish, were you, like, you weren't really a big name back then, were you? Or you start no, like you don't have to be modest here or anything like that. Don't be humble. Like don't even try. It's okay. I'm not a humble person. I have an ego. Everybody does.
All right, lads, that's where I'm cutting it on my channel for the podcast. Just some juicy parts coming up. There's still another 40 minutes to the podcast. It's actually the best part of the podcast. Feel bad for doing this, but guys, I almost have to trick you into going over to the podcast channel because otherwise you guys just like to hang out here on my channel because I know I'm so cute. But head over to the podcast channel. The link will be down below. It's Banged Up Podcast. Honestly, I'm trying to separate my channel from the podcast. So the podcast channel, go subscribe to it. Give the video a like. Check out the whole interview plus clips and more on the podcast channel from all the other episodes. And I'll be releasing a bunch of episodes exclusively on the podcast channel with other guests and athletes. So you might not be able to see them on my channel. So yeah, go over there, check it out, subscribe, and I'll see you there for the rest of the episode. Deuces.